Sebastian Day, who is a two-time Mika champion.
So we know you've won Mika 2 times, but what other achievements have you won?
So I've also won the Canadian Nationals 3 times in a row and the Ron Fellows 3 times.
How did you first get into karting? What inspired you?
So actually, not many people know this. I started out in snowcross, which is snowmobile racing, when I was 4. And my dad was doing arrive and drive karting. And when I was 7, I jumped in too and did it for a couple years. And eventually they brought me up to the club level. And from there I was hooked. I mean, I was supposed to do a couple races here and there my first year. Ended up doing a full season and Ron Fellows. So as soon as I got in that cart, I knew what I wanted to do.
So what is like your biggest achievement you've ever achieved while racing?
I don't know. It's tough to say. Nationals 3 times in a row, first to ever do it. So I'd say that's a pretty big achievement, but also racing down in the States and almost winning. Fortunately, that didn't end up, but had a good performance down there.
So at what age did you decide you wanted to become a professional karter?
Well, probably my second year of racing in cadet, so I probably would have been maybe 10, 11, and I knew I wanted to stick with this for as long as possible and see how good I can get and see what accomplishments I can make.
So what like emotions do you like? How do you handle your emotions when you're racing?
Well, it's tough, you know. Sometimes you feel like you're having the best time out there, and then something will happen on track and you'll get down on yourself so bad. You just got to build yourself back up and see what you can improve on next time.
So what challenges have you gone through while karting?
Gone through a lot, definitely, but I'd say one of the biggest ones is just racing on my own against people with wealth of knowledge behind them on a team. Me, it's just my dad, my mom. We show up at the track and we do the best we can, and with the knowledge we have, racing against people who have tons of experience behind them, and we still manage to beat them.
So like what nerves and like pressure do you have when you're racing like in the USA and stuff?
It's a completely different feeling when you have 10 people behind you that you have no clue who they are. So here up in Canada, I know who I'm racing against. I know what they're going to do. I know what kind of moves they're going to make. Down there, when I was at Grands, I had no idea who anybody was, what they were going to do. So it's a lot of pressure racing against different people.
What's your race strategy for races?
Well, before a race, I like to just kind of sit there and in my chair and imagine like what I'm gonna do. I see the track, I practice it, practice it in my head. I plan where I can make overtakes and just have this like pre-race kind of what I'm gonna do out there. So I'm prepared with anything that comes at me.
So like talking about overtaking, when do you know when to overtake drivers and where to do it?
It's tough. You have to be very like know what's around you, know who's behind you, know who's in front of you, and you can study them, see where you're faster, see where you're slower, try to improve on that. But where you're faster and you know you can make a pass, wait for the right moment when there's like no pressure behind you, or if there's pressure behind you and you have to move forward, you gotta just go. So studying the person in front of you can really help find where you can make an easy overtake without losing too much time.
What's your favorite place or corner on like a track?
I'm gonna say the chicane at Mossport. It's really fun smashing those big curbs. It's just takes a lot of skill and to nail it right too. It's just a lot of fun. Probably my favorite part of a track.
So like how do you maintain your focus even when you do the mistakes and stuff when you're racing?
You just gotta make the mistakes minimal. So it's really hard to stay under control, keep yourself calm. You might be falling back, but just remember there's always opportunities to move back forward. Keep yourself in a good position where you can be able to win the race. Don't just send it too hard and the race could be over. You just got to stay calm, remain calm, especially in those big long races that are 20 plus laps.
Have you ever had to like change your strategy based on like weather?
Yeah, sometimes it'll start drizzling a little bit during a race. That happened this year in Rock. It just started spinning out there and it gets a bit slippery. So you got to be a lot more cautious and take your time, because if you go off, you're going to be way back. So it just takes a lot of patience as well when it starts changing weather conditions.
So talking about conditions, what's your favorite racing condition?
I gotta say the wet. I love the wet. I love just a bit of low grip. It's always fun. So I love yeah, I love the wet.
I have experiences, for example, like one race this year, it was Canada Cup. I was having really bad anxiety because I got really overheated and it got hard to focus. I had to toughen through it because I knew if I didn't do the race, my championship's hopes would be over. So I ended up going on to win that race even through the anxiety. So I was wondering, did you have any experiences like that?
Not exactly similar to that, but I've definitely had experiences where, when I first started, I didn't want to get into karting because I was scared of the like open wheels and all that when I was really young. But I did it anyways, and well, look where it ended up. So glad I went through with it and pushed through those feelings.
Nathan, do you have any stories?
No, not about that, but like sometimes there's a little bit of nerve, especially when going into like a final race or something, and it all depends on that one race to see if you win or not.
Yeah, that's a big part. Like finals of a race, it just especially like big race like nationals, grand nationals down in the US, you're so nervous because it all comes down to that one moment, one mistake, and your whole race could be over.
It's like adapting to a new track. Like, how do you adapt to a new track?
Well, depends. Like at home, I will see if there's a sim option where I can practice the track and know the corners beforehand. If not, I just study videos. Like I search up, example, if I went to Lombardy this year for the first time, I just watched like 15 videos of just onboards to see what the track's like, where the curbs are, what the line is, and just preparing yourself and knowing ahead of time what you're going into.
So, Sebastian, how was it in Grand Nationals doing that last move around the outside?
Well, sitting in third there, I knew it would have to try to get into at least second because the track has a big straightaway coming out of the last corner, and you're gonna want to be in second because you're more likely gonna win with the draft. So I saw my opportunity to do a switchback into turn one, but I got alongside, but unfortunately on the turn three, I was just on the outside, and once you're on the outside, you're kind of a dead man. So it didn't work, but it was worth a shot because all that matters really at that moment was the win for me. And I recovered, got back on track, but then unfortunately later on, and it wasn't on the Kart Chaser broadcast, I got in another incident, and that really ended my race, and I was off the track. So yeah.
So, when you're experiencing things like that, how do you get back in the cart again and try and race?
Well, the big thing is focusing on like instead of focusing on results, you were focused on the performance. So down there, it was one of the best races I've ever done. I was battling for the win against people from all over North America. That's what you got to look at. You got to look at good things out of it, not that you unfortunately didn't finish where you wanted to. You got to see how much you've improved.
So, like, how do you like the way they do it with like the elimination zone, where if you don't qualify, you don't make it to the final?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. Like if you have to be consistent through the heats to guarantee your spot, and then if you don't, you're in the LCQ. So it's definitely a harder challenge. I mean, there's what 96 carts in junior, so it was definitely a big challenge racing against all those people, and making it into the final is even just a big accomplishment.
Okay, so this next segment, we have this one question that was asked by a viewer
Mm-hmm.
named Kelly. How do you train like before sessions? Like, do you have abs or anything?
No, I don't. It's more just arms. Like that's the only thing that really gets tired, your arms and your neck. So really, just racing a lot gets you in good physical shape for that, and doing workout at home just a little bit, and staying in top shape is definitely necessary for kart racing.
So, like, when you're like racing, is like with school, does your teacher know that like you have to go like racing? Does she not give you homework, or do you just
That's
do
a
it
good
online?
that's a good question. So some teachers I tell them like that's what I do. Other ones, I don't think they care enough to know what I do, so I just leave anyways. But like a few good teachers, they know what I do, and they're like, "Yeah, go ahead, go do that. Like you'll be fine in class." And some will just give me all the homework no matter what. So you just gotta balance racing and homework and
So like
and even doing schoolwork at the track. I've done.
like with racing, what achievements do you hope to like achieve, even though you've achieved already so many?
Well, I hope to do well in senior next year. That's for sure. That's the next thing, is doing well in senior, and then eventually, hopefully, moving up to cars and looking in the near future to hopefully move up. But it's all about budget. So we'll see. Eventually, I want to be a team owner, do that in karting, and yeah.
So is your team name gonna be Sebastian Day Racing?
Maybe that's what I've started now. I kind of wanted to have my own personal kind of branding identity, so I started Sebastian Day Racing this year. I don't know if that's what the team name's gonna be eventually, but to start.
So for like people like me who are like just going up to Mika, what advice do you have for like those kids?
Biggest thing is your results are not going to come right away. You're gonna have to get like used to the kart because it's a big difference coming from a ride and drive. You have to learn about the kart, not just go there and race. Learn what it does, learn what changes do, and eventually the results will come. I didn't get a podium. I did get a podium in my first year, but it's not like I was over there winning. So it just takes time to get yourself ready for racing in the club level.
So like we know you train people, but like what made you get into doing training and stuff?
So I got into training because eventually I do want to start a team, like I said earlier. But also it just is a good way to help afford racing. So I started helping kids like you, and I train them on track, and it really helps their improvement. I mean, I've seen you go from struggling to get a win to winning on track. So it's definitely good, good, good. What's good about that?
So can you train me?
Don't worry, I can train you.
No, I got it. Don't worry, I got you. If you are interested in training, you can DM me on Instagram, and I can give you some more information. Looking to expand the training this year in 2025.
So we see your dad, he always does your cart and stuff, fixes it up for you. And then my dad thinks he always knows what's going on. So like does your dad show you what to do with the cart, like trying to make you get a mechanic so he can retire almost?
Retire?
Yeah, retire from like
well, originally, like, he just was doing everything, and like he would change gears, change stuff. I didn't know what he was doing. I had no idea. Eventually, I learned, and I can hop in a cart and I can tell exactly what it needs. My dad will change it, or I'll change it. It's all just we work together to make the cart as best as it can. With feedback from me, he can change what he needs to.
So we saw that he did the endurance race with you. Would you say he's as good as a mechanic as he's a driver?
Not yet. He's gonna need some work on that, but you know, I'm sure it'll come. You know, he's racing ride and drive for like 5 years, so I'm sure it'll come pretty easy in a club.
Thank you, Sebastian Day, for coming out to us and doing what you're doing. But before we let you go, we have the first Karting Kids challenge.
Let's do it.
So here are the details of this challenge. You'll be trying out Mossport with a blindfold on a whiteboard. See how close you can get to the real track, and let's see how many corners and how big and small you get it right.
All right, let's do it. Okay. Here we go. All right, do I just go?
Yep.
I did.
Oh my
I'd say
really spot on.
I'd say that's pretty good.
And he
Even
connected
the
it.
lines. Well, Seb, I'd just like to thank you for coming. Thanks your parents for coming to drive you here and doing this with us, and thank you for being such a good mentor.
Of course, man. Anytime.
Yeah.